today. It's nice to see the ones who survived to the last talk. And well, we are Varvara Mar. We are artist duo working together since 2009. And as many artists, we are also exploring how AI is affecting society, but also artistic practice. And here we will kind of show a little bit evolution of our work, how we are kind of struggling, how to get to what we want from these neural networks, and how we are exploring also the latent space of possibilities.
Well, there is a lot of research being published and being done in the last years. This graph shows exponential publications in archive.
So they used AI to predict what will do AI.
Yeah, and you can see that it's like you cannot read all these publications that they are appearing weekly, for sure. And that's like. I mean, that's a problem, but also it's like there is a lot of models that they had appeared that artists we can use. And especially, I think we probably will revise what a lot of research that had been done now in the next years, because it's so fast that we might find interesting some approaches that have been using, especially artists, that we don't look for the more efficient models, but we actually look for models that are interesting for us. Sometimes the errors are creative catapults of our practice. And this is what we also will show today. We advocate for artists using small models, like our definition of small models are models that you can run in your machine. This is opposite of the models that they run on these services, like platforms like OpenAI and so on. As you might know, DALL-E is not possible to be used anymore. And means all these models that they use as a service, push the button, sometimes they call, they're also very dangerous for artists because you don't have the control of it. And this is a big problem, because you might be doing a project and then these companies, they shut down the service and then you didn't finish the project, and then you have now an unfinished project that you don't have control of it. But what about also if you do an installation, like for example now our needle in the haystack, that we use some LLMs with vision. We use open source models, because it is very important for our practice and also for preservation of our works that we use this, and for controlling of this of the whole creative process, and also for having agency towards the aesthetics and everything that comes out, because we can maluse the model, we can use in different when intended, and this is really what we are looking for. We are not looking for the manual of the model how to use it, but we use it in a creative way.
Okay, but still, normal people, when they hear about AI, then they say, oh, you used AI, so you did nothing yourself, right? So it's kind of really a common kind of misperception. And here we like to borrow by Elena Sarin. She's proposing this three-dimensional graph to evaluate, in a way, let's say, the value of artists in AI arts. And I like to actually draw a little bit parallel with pizza. I mean, if you buy the cheapest frozen pizza from the supermarket, probably it doesn't taste so good, right? So, but if you do dough yourself and grow the veggies and buy really nice cheese, it's also enjoyable. So it's working with technology is a little bit similar. So if you use the frozen solution, push the button ones like Midjourney, for instance, or DALL-E, well, it's kind of, I think, the result is also on the low level of the scale, and more artists are taking control. And also, let's don't forget, ideas, artistic concepts are also the ones which really count. Like Elena is saying, the ideas are expensive, and really they are.
There is the access of actually the algorithm, how much you modify, and also the access of ownership of data. That this is because all this, when we're talking about AI nowadays, are all models that they learn from data. Means you can actually build your own data set as an artist, or actually fine-tune a model, which means that is retrain the model with a little bit of your data and then kind of change it.
We have too little time to summarize all the theory, but here we did kind of a graph to understand the, let's say, basic models, what artists were interested. They're not all here, but it looks, as you see, it looks like from history class some century, right? But actually it's just 8 years. We are talking about 8 years, and we have been gone through really like fuzzy black and white faces appearing from kind of neural darkness to the stable diffusion era, how we call it, because it's a little bit game changer here, where you just write the prompt and you get quite amazing results.
Means we also define GAN era and diffusion era, and like Barbara said, like basically with diffusion era started the prompts, and it kind of like make it easy for many people to jump in.
So as you see, like when we started, it was pretty difficult, like the level was hard, and now becomes more easy and easy, but also the access to really kind of tweak all the nuances and feed your, like, train with your own data and so on, actually it becomes harder. So it looks like, let's say, the mainstream is really consumption based. It's really easy to get, like, as a user access, but if you want really to be a creator, it becomes actually still is even harder than it used to be. So here it was like really like a little bit like theory or introduction to our ideas, what we start to talk about through our work, and yeah, it was basically during 5 years what we have been doing and how we have been kind of trying to push these AI tools and models to the direction we want. And we have divided kind of into different mediums. So of course, as all, we started with the images, and it took us, I think, maybe 2 years to understand like how we can do artwork with this, because it's like, okay, you get this abstract images generated, but then what? So with this work, we also tried to break out from image, just still image medium, so more giving it sculptoric format and pushing already into video format. And it's called the Plastic Land, where we talk about kind of a similar history, so maybe a little bit between plastic and AI. So when plastic was invented, it was also kind of cherished as the best material because it was cheap, it was easy to do stuff from it, and yeah, that's how plastic appeared everywhere, right? So in AI is happening maybe the similar thing.
Yeah, because plastic is this essay by Ronald Barthes about plastic. If you don't ever read it, I will recommend you to read. Is actually this miraculous material that can substitute anything, can substitute metal and wood and other materials, and it can go in any shape and curves and anything. There's only one problem: it's difficult to recycle. With AI, it's similar, the same. It can serve for anything, but it consumes a lot of electricity. Means it's kind of in a similar situation where it's miraculous in some way, but there is a drawback, and we need to deal with that.
So we used ProGAN, and we had 4 different data sets talking about like land. Most upper layer was landfills, then is plastic on top of the water or the oceans, like the plastic islands, like maybe you know, some of you, plastic under the water, and plastic glomerates, basically the new fossils, what we will leave after ourselves, so to say.
And this what we did is basically we composed 4 data sets of these different waste of plastic in different places, and we trained the neural network to kind of generate new images out of it.
Okay. So basically the strategy with the GANs is to make data sets. Here,
also compared to the diffusion models, you could actually train by a very little number of images. Like let's say, starting from 1,000, you could do a data set that will learn the algorithm. And with plastic, I don't know why it is jumping this way. With plastic LAN.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
we did 2 data sets, and we actually did during the pandemic, and basically it's talking about, is again jumping, is talking about Lanzarote Island that is in Tenerife, and basically it's this hyper touristic place, and we wanted to create 2 realities of the place. One is the local and the other is the tourist. And how we did that is to make 2 data sets. We collect images from tourists, images from Flickr and from locals in Flickr, and then the tourists end up with a very
Tourists.
This one.
No, actually no.
No. This is the local, and this
locals, yes.
and this is the tourist, and the locals is very defined landscapes, and the tourist is very artifact. Because like the difference of the images is that one is very diverse, and the other is much constant to the island.
Yeah, well, I think you have to go to our website to see better video. At the moment here is jumping, but also the difference with other one, like a part of like resolution and more, I don't know if it's more hallucinating or not, but the video transitions are also like they morph from one image to another, and this is kind of also like medium-wise is for us was kind of interesting. Like when we were first forcing into video by just putting the frames together, then here you could also really go like seed by seed and let the model to kind of make the interpolation, so to say, right? And we ask also sound artists to compose then based on this. I mean, it doesn't matter, Mar, we don't have time.
Okay.
And why we were doing also this, well, it was also COVID time, so we couldn't travel to Lanzarote, and we were actually never been to Lanzarote, so we were a bit like aliens acting on topic of this, but our aim was critical tourism and having this tourist gaze where, I mean, now of course we have internet, but before you were going to tourism agency and looking these postcards, where is your next destination, and basically well, what tourists are doing are going to of course kind of reproduce what they have seen kind of before, or what idea they have about the place. So that's why it's a postcard, but also talking about like post landscape. And well, since we were kind of composing our data sets by scrubbing the images from the Flickr, where the license allowed, then when we were invited to Tartu in the south of Estonia, then we ran into the problem saying, well, in the Flickr there is nothing about Tartu, so we had to invent a new strategy, and then here we used flaneur strategy that we were just because, well, to train the GANs you need about like 2,000 images, and we thought like, well, we go around with a camera, and we were like filming and then getting the the stills out of it and then doing our data sets. So I don't know if it will be jumpy also or not. A little bit jumpy, yeah. But anyways, maybe you get the idea that if you have two similar data sets, like from Flaneur works but we got the outputs, then it becomes too similar, the output. If you have like two different images in the data set, then you might have too abstract and random. So it's really kind of compromise, right? And here it was also like we don't hear the sound, but we were again we invited musicians, but we were late with our video submission, and then actually they did the sound prior seeing the visuals, and then we used actually sound to navigate in the latent space. So it's kind of sound reactive Gen AI. Okay, this was what we were trying to do with the images and the text-based works.
During pandemic, I guess everyone had problems, but also there were some opportunities. And what we managed to do is that, talking with Roger Bernat, that is a theater director, during the beginning of the pandemic, we proposed to a bigger theater in Barcelona called Teatre Lliure to intervene their main website, their homepage, with a generative bot trained on dialogues. Is a model called Dialogue GPT. It's actually one predecessor of ChatGPT, and was released by Microsoft, but in reality I think OpenAI was working on it, and we make it an interface with React, and we place it in the homepage. And during 1 month, without any login, if no one was talking with the chatbot, we will be able to talk to the generative bot. And if not, you could look the conversation for other people. Means we call it like an experimental theater that ran for 1 month. Mm-hmm. And yeah. And
well, although in the website was explicitly written that you are now going to talk with the chatbot, people were convinced that there is behind, if not the theater director, then at least an actor. So you can see also it's like, hola Roger, and then the ENA says, no, it's homo, blah, blah, and then, yeah, well, they were really kind of trying to themselves to do a Turing test, which now, again, is actual. I guess if you are following discussion about AI, everyone is wondering what is a proper Turing test for AI, but at the moment we are still using a kind of old one. If we can understand, like, well, basically if we think machine is human, then the machine has passed the Turing test. But as you all know, chatting with chatbot is kind of boring, but it's not only because the chatbot is dumb. I mean, the audience also is not very creative, let's be honest, because normally if you do interactive work and you let people
you need to kind of like broke the ice, no? And how we were doing this is that we took like a database of stage directions from plays, and we were actually adding on the conversation these quotations from different plays, which actually was also passed to the AI, but also actually the most who react was the people who was chatting. And like this was kind of driving the conversation also through the plays that
yeah, the humans were reacting on these seats or stage directions, like ENA doesn't move, and they would say, oh, what happened, ENA? And then, you know, the ENA would react on this. So in the end, this conversation really were kind of funny, and they made sense, and that's why we decided to do a book, like by hand, actually. We got like 900 pages from 1 month, I think so. So it's
and
also
about 1,000 conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of an interesting experiment for us. And since we have been working before speech as an interface for interactive artwork, we really wanted to try like how we can do the speech to image.
And in 2021, in a residency, we developed a Dream Painter. I think is one of the first example of interactive art using neural networks with deep learning. And basically, you share one of your dreams, and it tries to interpret in a drawing. And we use a KIKK robot, an industrial robot. And the bigger challenge was actually to modify the model.
Mar, I will explain. Now it brings up the microphone, then it's ready to listen to your dream, what you saw last night. While it's putting away the microphone, we are already calculating what dream it was in a drawing way, so we are kind of psychoanalyzing it. And then it's going to draw. Yeah, so picking
these are kind of examples of drawings that it was doing, and the bigger challenge is actually to compute an AI fast. Even now, many models are very slow, and since we wanted to integrate to an interactive piece, we determined that the maximum could be 12 seconds. That this is this time that to leave the microphone and to start drawing, and that is the time that actually we managed to make it compute.
Mm-hmm. So while we were we were not thinking, but our kind of speculation was, or the starting point was, if we don't understand our unconscious world, well, maybe AI will understand our dream. Like, let's crack the Freud, right? But then in the end, through these drawings, we realized that we can psychoanalyze AI. Instead of ourselves, because we started to see like how they are these models are treating the concepts, how they are understanding them. So we came up with the 4 different ones, and we also did a mini publication about this. And yeah, we can maybe.
And one thing that I can add is that we are not using a text-to-image model. We actually making a text-to-vector model. We actually were moving lines to converge with clip to be vector lines that then we could actually draw with the robot. Some people were thinking, you are using an image. No, actually, since the beginning, we thought that it was not a good idea to make an image because it has pixels, and we needed to move with the robot. Means we actually were working on this, which actually still now are very rare models, that they work with vectors, not with pixels.
Yeah, and also like this, let's say this drawing, the drawings, they are between abstract and figurative, so everyone starts to imagine themselves what they see. So that is kind of also the beauty of it. If something like, for instance, Dali or Midjourney, if we would put just, let's say, photo printer there, everything would be clear, right? So it would be like, here is the result, and there is no discussion. And I think this imagination, that's what is really kind of, I think, is becoming more and more untrained, and it should be more trained because it's the culture becomes too visual.
And also, just to come back before we're talking about the small models, like the model has also a huge impact in the aesthetics. Like, for example, when doesn't know how to draw something, like for example in a bad input like hello, how are you, it will start to write text. And the text is text that sometimes it doesn't understand how to draw, or actually because in the data set there is images that contain this text also. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah.
By the way, we have here sometimes the QR codes. We are kind of, we are artists, but we are also academics. So we are spending time also to write about our work and to contextualize and also conceptualize sometimes. So if you're more interested in this topic, you can scan the code and get the paper and read more in details, because we don't have time to really talk about all the nuances, unfortunately. Actually, it was in 21. I mean, everyone is talking like AI is so powerful and can do everything from picture to 3D and so on. So we thought like, yeah, we do from text to 3D. So it means, and then we do into material, text to ceramics. But then it came out, actually, it's illusion what they are selling in a way, because there was in 21, there was no model which could make text to image, so to say, text to 3D form. There was kind of, the output was not 3D model. So if it's not 3D model, you cannot fabricate it. So, right?
Well, we were looking at the state-of-the-art models that were published in main conferences and try it out. And what we came out is that most of them, they were kind of working with the example they had, but they really were not working on other examples that you try to do, and we only at the end found one model from Tel Aviv University, text to mesh, which actually we could use, and we started to use before the publication was even published, and we are even cited in their repository, but it still is not the end sculpture. You need to basically, if you want to.
It needs an input 3D model and the text. So it doesn't create the 3D form. It modifies the mesh, which for us kind of it was already interesting, and we went to the direction. Someone recognize which sculpture it is? No.
No.
Which one? Everyone sleeping? No? Coffee, please. No. You can guess? Okay, it's Venus. Yes, it's Venus. As the base was Venus, and the title is Psychedelic Angel. And it was interesting process, because it was not the words. It was not about the meaning. It was about the mesh. It was about the form. So we started to learn how the words modify the vectors, and also which forms to choose. So it's not everyone was behaving the same. And we decided, like, we took the collection of antique sculptures and kind of revisit through the let's say neural age or culture, the recognizable forms, so to say. And this is 1.2 meters tall sculptures from recycled plastic. It's old fishing nets. And we had to struggle quite a lot, because, well, I explain later on the process. So it's, the output is still like you have to work a lot with the model that you can produce. In the end, the curator had to say to technician, just push the button that it prints, because actually it's a kind of miracle why it stands.
They didn't know if they will stand, because it's hollow in the middle. I mean, it doesn't have like infill material inside. And they were the first time this company of printing that normally does furniture, it printed a sculpture, and that was thanks to some Sweden fans of COVID, that they connect this company to us to kind of relief funds of Sweden.
But the thing is, like, what we were also getting from the neural net were this vector colors, which we actually wanted. It was very fascinating. So you can see here the process, the input object, and then the output, and then we decided, we should do from clay, because then we can use the glazing. And the glazing also, well, it follows and it's not follows, but we use this dropping technique, and I think ceramics really makes sense here because when you kind of guide the neural networks, it's for me it's really like a metaphor with glazing, because you don't see the colors you're getting. You don't see really results. You kind of think what you get with experience, but you never, it's always surprise.
Basically, these ones
So
are painted, but they are white, but until it's not fire, the color doesn't come out.
So that's why we call also them psychedelic forms, because it's kind of unknown where we started kind of really to work with. So you can see a little bit of process, and here this sculpture is like 40 centimeters tall, psychedelic angel or mermaid in a green jelly and a pink feather. It's nymph. Yeah, and so on. So here we are also kind of trying to summarize the process, but in terms of methodology, I think interesting is what are the steps are from exploration to the concept. So where we could kind of, this took actually a long time to understand what and with what kind of tools we could potentially work with. Then from neural to digital, it's also a part of like curating, right? I think you have seen this. It's that curation, like you have a lot of outputs. Here actually you don't have so much output with the GANs because it takes time. But you have to kind of find the interesting one, right? And then also interesting and repairable one, or what you can print basically. Then it's from digital to physical when it was this fabrication, and then from physical to chemical when also the glazing came to point, and also like, you know, the physics and material where they are in conversation with the digital formats are pretty fascinating. And I think it was 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago, where text to 3D finally was possible. We used the Dream Fusion. That's what they say is possible, but it doesn't generate, I don't know, everything, not this fancy stuff what they put there at least. So, but we were trying, well, because the thing is like, yeah, I don't want to do, I don't know, banana or something. It was something more meaningful. And then all these abstract terms didn't work, but the cloud was working. So cloud was pretty good actually. So we did cloud with, we 3D printed cloud with a robot, and we also managed to add the infill. The robot didn't know before what is infill, didn't know what is stop also. It's kind of like non-stop machine. It's interesting how they behave.
No, we developed the technology to use the robot to 3D print with ceramics, which is,
yeah. So, and one half is, well, it looks like this lucky cookie, but actually one lucky cookie, two sides are 100 kilos. So because one of my friends told, oh, it looks like a cookie, but it's not. So.
But this work talks about also all the labor, manual labor that all the AI is having, and that's why we decided to make the cloud.
Yeah, it's kind of iconic. Yeah. Then we also painted it, but it's. Then finally we turned into our favorite format, which are interactive installations, and it also took some time because stable diffusion is cool, but again it produces all these shiny images, which then is the question is what you do with it, or what is the artist's role here. And our role was well, you can decide yourself, but we are inventing these new interfaces how you can navigate in latent space.
Yeah, we did Visions of Destruction. Is an interactive piece that we track your gaze, and unintentionally you are polluting, destroying the beautiful landscape. We make a synthetic landscapes very beautiful, and then in the areas that you look, you are starting to pollute in very fast. It's kind of real-time destruction, and
I think it's maybe. Okay.
I hope is this
I think
working?
maybe it's the internet.
And basically, why this is because like we are destroying our terrestrial ecosystems the most, more than the marine ones, and we don't notice that we're doing like more and more species are disappearing, and more places are disappearing as they were, and this is kind of like an unintentional destruction probably most of the times, but this piece is actually reenacting all the damage that we did into the terrestrial ecosystems, because this piece is using stable diffusion, and stable diffusion is using Lion dataset, and basically Lion dataset have at least half of internet or very big quota of internet images, and basically a lot of these damages are there. Means it's like in a way like the memory, a collective memory of all, and of course all this is fake, but it could be real in a way.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of interaction, like if we are used to prompting, then here we don't. I mean, we do ourselves the prompting, so we have a huge list of prompts what we are kind of curating, what behind the scene are happening, and this is what triggers the new in painting in the landscape, depending where you are looking at. So it's sometimes just by sitting and doing nothing, just looking what's happening, actually things are happening. I mean, now it's unfortunately that's how it is, right?
And we're using a high resolution eye tracking system by Toby, and basically we get very precise the places that you're looking in the image.
Okay.
20 seconds.
Yeah, this we don't show.
No, we don't show.
Or what? What is the technicians are saying?
I think we.
Yeah, but I don't remember after this what we had. This one, yeah. Well, maybe shortly about this. We had a solo show in the Museum of Joana Bayot. It's a museum dedicated to a local painter. And this was interesting to bring in AI, because it's kind of a new way how to work with artist archive, because it allows revisit and seeing new connections. And this artist was particularly obsessed by being portraited. So he had portraits made by Picasso, Dali, Tapies, and many more. So and here we can see also a combination of our work with the existing
we extended his vision of an obsession to being portrait with AI, and we generated the kind of similar amount of portraits of his collection, that is 300, with different themes that resonate to his work.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, like you can use AI to generate a lot of material, but then in the end, the artist is the one who decides, like, okay, how do I organize it, which concepts I give it to it, and so on. So we had different themes, but also by what is maybe interesting also here, also by working with these new tools, some the errors come there, which start to also contribute to the conversation, because there was many like
this,
oops.
that there were like two two of these abellos, because this is very typical that AI, if you train by the face of someone, then many times they fill with two people. But in the case of Abelló, he was an artist and collector at the same time, very rare. And then this kind of error, it became one collection that we did, because that was like describing his double
like
persona.
Doppelganger, yeah.
And then we decided, instead of discarding, to start to use it.
Yeah, and this was kind of in the videos, and later on we also made artist book out of it.
This is very fast. Now is very present this misinformation, disinformation that AI can do. But we were invited to a very small exhibition in Estonia in a library in Ida-Virumaa, that is the area touching Russia. And there was this abandoned library that they had books from America donated in the 90s when Estonia was started to be independent. And basically, they encouraged to do something with these books. And then we came up with this idea to get these books and try to get kind of like these conspiracy theories out of it. And basically what we did is get these pages and send to ChatGPT, and with a series of prompts and recursive, try to find conspiracy theories on like kind of black out many of the words and just leave it some. And just as an example, how conspiracy theories come out from anything. And of course, you can actually think that there's very conspiracy that America sent to ex-USSR some books, and yeah, they contain some conspiracy theories inside. And yeah, basically that's what.
And if you haven't seen our robot, please go to the railway station and find it. It's still looking for the needle and in the haystack. Yeah, I think we don't waste more.
And just to say one word of this piece is actually talking about the limits of AI, and that we are trying to make that AI makes very complex tasks, but sometimes we don't understand that we can even be better to AI in certain things, like for example finding the needle in a haystack. That is a very complicated thing, and for AI, more even than a human.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming.
Yeah. Here is the summary of, or extension, what we talked is actually, you can find this in this book. It's you can freely download it. And we would like to thank you and our supporters also. Thanks.